My brothers and sisters, we've come here, each one of us, because we choose to be here. We've come here to show our love and our respect for Madiba. We've come here because we value the change that Madiba brought into our country and into each of our lives. We've come here regardless of our political party that we belong to. We know where Madiba belonged, but it doesn't matter. He was a South African. He lived for South Africa. He lived for all of us. We cherish him together. We will celebrate his life together. That is what makes us special as a nation. We celebrate the life of a leader who thought about life, who planned every step he took months in advance. We've come to celebrate the life of a leader who knew the consequences of the actions that he took. Our young poet here this afternoon, who reminded us what Madiba said in the dock when he said, facing a judge who wanted to sentence him to death, he said, "I've lived. I fought against white domination and I'll fight against black domination. These are ideals that I hope to live for, but if needs be, I'm prepared to die for." He knew the consequences of his actions. When he refused to negotiate as a prisoner with his jailer, he knew the consequences of his actions, and his victory became our victories. And all of his life, Madiba lived for his people.
Oh, yes.
And you know, some of the things that he said, comrades, the one thing that stood out about Madiba in his militance was his discipline. And if we take nothing else away but the discipline, then we will make this country the country that Madiba was prepared to sacrifice for, live for, and die for. When he spoke to us on the 11th of February 1990 on the Grand Parade, he said, "I place the rest of my life in your hands to further the struggle," and that struggle must now continue. You see, when he wrote to Mamwini from prison in February of 1979, many of you were not born yet. The stuff we're talking about is not the stuff that happened when he was President of the Republic. He wrote about it then already. And he said to her, "Don't worry about wealth. Don't worry about a big house, a big car. Don't worry about those things. Worry about what's inside of yourself." He said to her, "Think about the values of honesty, of sincerity, of simplicity, of humility, of pure generosity, the absence of vanity, the readiness to serve others. If we all think about those values, then each one of us can be a little Madiba to take forward the spirit of our country." As the Premier said, some of us were privileged today to participate in the laying of state at the Union Building. And it's a very emotional thing to go through, to take leave of somebody who we love so much. It tears at our hearts. We know that we are soldiers and we must take forward the spirit of democracy as Madiba would have wanted. And so, as we take leave of his mortal remains, we must take forward the spirit of struggle that Madiba represents in our lives. There is nothing else that we can do. There's no money that he leaves us. He leaves us with the spirit of struggle, the spirit of self-sacrifice, the humility, and our interrelationship with the rest of us. At the memorial service at FNB yesterday, President Barack Obama said, "I look to Madiba and I look to him because by following in what he did, I can become a better man." I want to say to each one of us, man and woman, we can become better at who we are, at what we are, and how we relate, merely by learning from the life of Madiba. He was so completely generous in everything he did. Even the way in which he left us. He didn't leave us suddenly. He withdrew over a few years and he let us take stock of what it means when he's no longer physically with us. And when he passed on Thursday night last week, the plans were laid out for him to be buried on the 15th, but that is one day before the Day of Reconciliation. Now remember that date, the 16th of December is the Day of Reconciliation. It's also the day when Madiba announced the formation of Umkhonto we Sizwe, but the same Madiba was able to bring us together and say, we must reconcile. If we want the country that we desire for our children, then we must come together, we must understand that. So we must use this period of mourning and come together. And when we come together, we come to listen. Because if we aren't together and we don't feel like one people, then we don't listen to each other. We don't understand the pain of the other. And if we don't understand the pain of the other, then we can't have the democracy that is energized, dynamic, and taking forward the spirit of Nelson Mandela, all of the Rivonia trialists, and all of those who've gone before. So over the next period, as we prepare to lay Madiba's mortal remains in the grave in Kunu on the 15th, let us take forward the spirit of reconciliation, not for one day on the 16th. Let's take it forward. Let's listen to each other. Let's hear the pain of people who don't have houses. Let's hear the pain of people who don't have jobs. Let's hear the pain of people who don't have access to toilets or water. Let's hear that pain. Let's talk to each other. Let's take forward the spirit of reconciliation. And as we do it, and as we reach out to the other, as we reach out to the people in need, we must remember every day we act in that way, we can say to ourselves, long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live. The spirit of Nelson Mandela lives inside us, inside us. The spirit of Nelson Mandela lives inside us. The spirit of Nelson Mandela lives inside us. The spirit of Nelson Mandela lives inside us. Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live.